Welcome to Cuthbert Discovery Channel. Today, we can explore the capital city of China, Beijing. Let's get started! Beijing is one of the world's oldest cities. As an inhabited city, it has over 3,000 years of history and is one of the oldest in the world. The city is 6 times older than New York. In the western part of the city, there is a very famous and huge ancient wall called the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall was built in the Qin dynasty, which was from 221 BCE to 207 BCE at that time. The wall was built just to the north of the city. Scientists have determined that ancient human species called Homo erectus lived in the area where Beijing is today. They lived there around 770,000 to 230,000 years ago. That means humans have lived in Beijing for more than 2 million years. It's incredible. There are many interesting places to visit in Beijing today. The most popular place is the Forbidden City. It was built in 1420 and was the home of Chinese emperors for 500 years. The second most popular place to visit is Tiananmen Square. It is one of the largest public squares in the world. Many important government buildings are located around the square. The third most popular place is the Temple of Heaven. It was built in 1420 and was used by emperors to pray for good harvest. It is now a popular place for tourists and locals to walk around and enjoy nature. The fourth most popular place is the Summer Palace. It was built in 1750 and was used by the emperor as a vacation home during the summer. It is now a popular place for tourists to visit and enjoy the beautiful gardens and buildings. The fifth most popular place is the Ming Tombs. It is the burial place of 13 emperors from the Ming Dynasty. It is now a popular place for tourists to visit and learn about Chinese history. When was the Great Wall of China built? It was built in the Qin Dynasty, which was from 221 BCE to 207 BCE. What species of ancient humans lived in what is now Beijing between 770,000 and 230,000 years ago? Homo erectus. What is the name of the most famous and largest public square in Beijing? Tiananmen Square. What was the purpose of the Temple of Heaven when it was built in 1420? It was used by emperors to pray for a good harvest. Chinese history is extremely long. With thousands of years of different dynasties, kingdoms, and emperors, it seems difficult to keep track of it all. Why should you try to learn about Chinese history and all the Chinese dynasties? Despite its very long history, China is known for having a great understanding and knowledge of its own past. Many Chinese idioms have their origins in ancient stories and figures. Chinese politics, culture, and society today are deeply influenced by historical events and figures. There are also many amazing facts about Chinese history to learn. Did you know that Chinese envoys traveled all the way to Somalia and Kenya? Do you know which dynasty Chinese people named themselves after? And what happened to the last emperor of China? You don't need a degree in Chinese to study Chinese, but one thing you should know is the names of China's 10 most important dynasties: Shang, Zhou, Qin, Han, Sui, Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing. Let's begin our journey through 10 dynasties. The Shang Dynasty, Shangdai C, 16th 11th century BCE. This dynasty is the first official dynasty in China. In the Shang Dynasty, China first began to develop its formal writing system by carving pictographic characters onto bones, shells, and other natural objects. These are called oracle bone characters. Bronze technology and the chariot were also used in the Shang, the Zhou Dynasty. Zhudai, 1046 to 221 BCE. The Zhou coexisted with the Shang until finally conquering it. During this dynasty, the I Ching, or Book of Changes, was written. A book of divination that first introduces concepts like the famous Yin-Yang Wai, energy Ximbor, Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. 3 ancient Chinese philosophers also emerged during this dynasty. The Qin Dynasty, Qindai, 221 to 207 BCE. The Qin dynasty, one of China's shortest yet most famous dynasties, with its powerful armies and belief in the philosophy of legalism. The famous first emperor Qin Shi Huang had a Qin Shi Huang conquered all the rival kingdoms, bringing total unity to China. Qin Shi Huang is known for ruling his dynasty with the rule of law and a powerful central government. When he died, he was buried in Chang'an, modern-day Xi'an, surrounded by an army of terracotta warriors. You can visit Xi'an today and see his tomb. Qin Shi Huang was also responsible for the construction of the Great Wall of China. His ambition and impact upon modern Chinese tourism today is huge. The Han Dynasty. Han Daichi Ndi 202 today, Chinese call themselves the Han people. In fact, another word for the Chinese language is Hanyu. And have you heard about the trend of young people today wearing traditional Chinese clothing, known as Hanfu? This dynasty deeply influenced Chinese culture. During this time, the dynasty expanded its power into modern-day Gansu province, extending Chinese territory. Confucianism was patronized by the emperor, and the first university was founded to study its philosophy in 124 AD paper. Water clocks, sundials, silk, and seismographs were all invented during the Han Dynasty. It was a high point of culture, art, and considered a period of ethnic unification. The Sui Dynasty, Swidai, 581 to 617. After the fall of the Han Dynasty, various kingdoms and groups ruled in China until the Sui unified them all. This dynasty saw China enter a golden age of agricultural and economic prosperity. Buddhism spread across China, inspiring art and sculptures still visible today. The major legacy of the Sui dynasty was the Grand Canal connecting China's north and south. Today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and has been used since the Sui dynasty to facilitate the transport of goods and people across China. The Tang dynasty, Tandai, 680 to 907. China's golden age continued through the Tang dynasty. China's greatest poets, Li Bai and Du Fu, lived in this era. Scholarship flourished with education and the publication of many great works of literature, and the Tang dynasty exerted its influence throughout Central Asia to Korea and Japan. The Tang capital of Chang'an modern-day Xi'an was full of international influence. Persians, Tibetans, Indians, Vietnamese, and Koreans lived and traded in this famous city. The Song Dynasty, Songdai, 962-1279. The Song Dynasty flourished with the spread of education, a welfare system, and important inventions such as paper currency and high-quality pottery and porcelain. Artists pioneered new creative forms at the Imperial Painting Academy. Massive cities of more than 1 million people emerged. In and around the capital city of Kaifeng, Song builders created towering pagodas and other edifices still seen today. The Yuan Dynasty, Yuan Dai, 1279 to 1368. Everything changed when the Mongols attacked. Begun by Genghis Khan, the legendary Mongol leader, the establishment of the Yuan in China was finished by his grandson, Kublai Khan. The dominance the Mongols established across Asia led to a peaceful period where trade flowed from east to west. New ideas and inventions entered China from the Middle East. Astronomy, medicine, cartography, cotton, and new crops like lemons and melons entered the Chinese diet. The Ming Dynasty, Mingdai, 1368 to 1644. After the collapse of the Yuan, the Ming Dynasty began to rule, China returning the land to Chinese rule. The Ming Dynasty was incredibly significant. The population of the empire doubled. Famous blue and white Chinese porcelain was produced and exported, and the Yongle Emperor, Yongle, built the Forbidden City, Gugong. You can still explore this huge palace complex in Beijing today. The most famous traveler of the Ming Dynasty was Zhang He. Born to a Muslim family, he quickly rose through the ranks to become an explorer and diplomat. Over a series of 7 trips, he visited places across the known world, including today's Vietnam, Sri Lanka, India, Oman, Yemen, Somalia, and Kenya. After the death of Zheng He, China stopped sending missions abroad. The Qing Dynasty, Qingdai, 1644到1911. The Qing Dynasty was founded by the Mandarin, a people group who lived north of the Great Wall in Manchuria. Today, this is northeastern China. Sweeping south to conquer the Ming, the Manchus established China's second non-Chinese dynasty. They would also be the very last imperial dynasty to ever exist in China. The Qing began with incredible achievements. Multiple emperors expanded Chinese territory to its largest size. Great literary projects flourished, including the largest collection of books in Chinese history, Siku Chanshu, and a publication of Dream of the Red Chamber, or The Story of the Stone. Holomeng, which is considered one of the greatest novels in Chinese history. But in its later half, the Qing was crippled by internal rebellions and peasant revolts, colonialization and imperialism carried out by foreign powers including the United States, France, Britain, and Japan, and outright wars with Britain and Japan. This period of Chinese history saw widespread famine and poverty. The last emperor of China, Pi Puyi, gave up his throne in 1911. There are many important dynasties in Chinese history. From the Forbidden City in the center of the city to the far reaches of the 6th Ring Road, Beijing is full of sights and sounds that inspire. For the hundreds of thousands of students who come to learn Chinese in Beijing. Every year, there are countless things to see and do in the city and even more to discover about the culture and customs of the locals. So what is it really like to live in Beijing? Let's find out. Beijing is arranged in rings. With the Forbidden City and Tiananmen Square at the very center, Beijing has expanded in rings outward over the decades. Each ring is marked by a big, circular road that goes around the whole city. The concept originated with Beijing tram lines that ran from the 1920s to the 1950s, where a tram that looped from Tiananmen to Gulu was called the Ring Road route. In Beijing, you will often hear people give directions by referencing the ring roads. It is out in the 5th ring, or I live in the 3rd ring. We think that's pretty fascinating, but it makes sense when you see how the city grew over time. The 2nd ring road was originally the city wall, and where the 3rd ring road is now was the moat. After the city walls were demolished in the mid-20th century, new roads were built in their place, and each ring was numbered going outwards. There are currently 6 ring roads. The 4th ring road takes about 2 hours to drive around, which is why you might want to take public transportation or cycle around instead. You can actually cycle around the entirety of the 4th ring road thanks to a 25-mile bike path called the 4th ring road non-motorized belt, which is the longest continuous non-motorized loop in the world. We bet the person who designed the belt is a genius. Beijing pronunciation became standard Mandarin. Why is Beijing known as the best place to learn Mandarin Chinese? It's because the style of Chinese spoken in the capital over time became the standard dialect for all of China. According to the Chinese Language Institute, in 1932, a dictionary of a common language based on northern prestige dialects from in and around Beijing emerged. This dictionary was called Vocabulary of National Pronunciation for Everyday Use. 国音常用字汇，国音参控就. Eventually, its contents would become the foundation for modern Putonghua. Putonghua equals modern Mandarin. But Beijing still has its own unique dialect. If you learn Chinese in Beijing, you might realize that many speakers will add an ah sound to the end of words. Are in Chinese, but in other places, like Shanghai and Taiwan, Chinese speakers might not understand you if you speak this way. The sound is a central feature of Beijing dialect and can make every word sound a bit different. 不知道, I don't know. Sounds like 不知道, 一点点, 一点点, a little bit. Sounds like 一点老师, teacher. Sounds like Lauer, a Beijing dialect speaker, interviewed by the New York Times, said, "I love to listen to the Beijing dialect. It is something innate. When I speak the Beijing dialect, it comes naturally from my heart." Next, we're gonna tell you a fact about Beijing that will blow your mind. But before that, show your support. If you've learned something new today, it really helps us produce more videos about China for you guys. Beijing was the capital 6 times. This is one of the best trivia facts about Beijing. Beijing is not just the capital of the modern-day People's Republic of China. It was also the capital 5 other times. 221 BC. Yan State Capital, Warring States period 1271. First, a national capital for the Yuan dynasty, 1402. Became Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. Capital, 1644. Qing Dynasty capital, 1912. Republic of China. Capital. Time for some more fun facts about Beijing, including some about food. Okay, we know we said these fun facts about Beijing are coming, but let's be real. The last fact was pretty fun, right? Let's continue with our fun facts about Beijing. Beijing has the most billionaires in the world. The world's wealthiest people love to live here. With 100 billionaires, Beijing beats out New York City, 99, Hong Kong, 80, and Moscow, 79. To have the biggest uber-rich population, with so many successful Chinese companies like Huawei and Tencent, it's no wonder. Now, back to some fun facts about Beijing. Pollution is no longer a big issue, but traffic jams are. Beijing has a reputation for being one of the most polluted cities in the world. In the past, this was definitely true. Coal accounted for 40% of pollution in Beijing due to factories on the edge of the city and neighboring provinces producing power generation, steel, and cement. But Beijing declared a war on pollution in 2014, and the results are excellent. 2021 was the best year on record for Beijing clear skies since 2013, with CGTN reporting the number of severely polluted days during summer and autumn was 8 days, dropping by 86.2% compared to 2012. Now that the pollution has improved significantly, Beijingers have switched to complaining about traffic instead. Because the city roads are arranged in rings and follow the old imperial layout of the city, traffic jams are a common occurrence. Perhaps a war on traffic is coming next. Beijing has 197 museums. If you ever need something to do on a rainy weekend in Beijing, take a trip to one of Beijing's 197 registered museums. This makes Beijing the city with the most museums in all of China. Museums are a great way to learn about the history and culture of Beijing. Check out the popular Palace Museum or the huge National Museum of China. Or, if you have a lot of time and curiosity, take a long drive to the Manchu Folk Culture Museum, Taxation Museum, or Cinema National Film Museum. And now, we're gonna tell you a few more fun facts about Beijing. You'll fit right in if you know these. Beijing was once known as Beiping. Before the founding of the People's Republic of China, Beijing was called Beiping. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, the capital was moved to Then after the war ended, the government returned to Beijing and changed its name back to Beijing. The name means Northern Capital. It was chosen to contrast with its southern counterpart, Nanjing. Many people have lived in Beijing. We bet you didn't know this about Beijing. According to the 2020 census, Beijing has a population of 21.8 million. That's almost the same as the entire country of Austria. Only 20 million people live within the city proper. However, the metropolitan area includes a further 1.8 million. The greater urban area extends another 2.5 million. Now that's a lot of people. Most of them live in the city proper. Of those, 2.85 million are migrants from other provinces, 1.25 million are ethnic minorities, and 70,000 are foreigners from other countries. You should visit Beijing soon. If you enjoyed learning about Beijing, share this video with your friends so they can enjoy it too. And as always, leave a comment below if you have anything to add to the list. Thanks for watching. See you next time!